Hello folks, how's it going? So welcome to this One Piece review. This time we'll be covering episode 1089, the introduction to the Egghead Island arc in the anime. A lot of hype built up ever since Jump Festa. This was leaked in a trailer. There's been people up in arms because of the new direction of the new art style and animation. I sat back and I didn't judge this based on a screenshot or a preview or a 30-second preview. I usually have this wait and see type mentality, and I'm glad that I do, because a bang on introduction to this arc with new animation, new opening, new ending, a new feel in the first episode of 2024. They ticked all the right boxes. Was it the greatest episode of all time? No. But it hit the mark of what needed to be done and the big moments that mattered in this episode. Speaking of anime, we got an update via Netflix over on Twitter, or X, on the Twitter page, where they pretty much confirmed that the Egghead Island will be starting in the anime on January 13th, literally next week. So that is literally over a week from now. So that's huge. Wano is not even on Netflix. But they decided to go with the hype building of One Piece that carried us through 2023, and it looks like it's going to carry us into 2024. So that's huge news. That's a huge piece of business. I can't say I'm shocked, considering we got the announcement back at Jump Festa. Also, that the One Piece remake anime is heading our way to Netflix to obviously celebrate the 25th year anniversary. To be honest, I want to add to that. I would not be surprised if we get the announcement that the Wano anime dub, when that gets completed, will be added to Netflix. I would not be shocked. So let's start off. We got a new opening. I loved everything about this opening was great. The visuals was outstanding. The opening itself was directed by Megumi Ishitani, which is responsible for directing one of the most iconic episodes, not only in Wano, but in the One Piece anime, with episode 1015. So there you go. So if you enjoyed the heck out of the new opening 26, so the opening is called Asu by Hiroshi Kitatami, who is a very iconic artist when it comes to One Piece. Sang the very first opening, We Are. Sang the opening to the post-time skip opening with We Go. And then sang the very first opening to the Wano anime, Over the Top. Speaking of Wano and openings, it looks like they're following the blueprint when it comes to like the openings, sparing no expenses with the spoilers for manga readers, for the animes who don't know. You're gonna know pretty soon. So that's something we kind of need to I think it's pretty much normal at this point. Like, they're doing everything. The openings are a way to build an interest to those who don't pick up One Piece, who may look at these openings and then check out the series. That's what this is for. They did it with Wano, and they're doing it here. I like the ending song, Dear Sunrise by Maki Atsuki, who sang the very first ending to One Piece, Memories. So there you go. So they're sparing no expenses of paying homage to the 25th year anniversary of the One Piece anime with nostalgia, with a fresh coat of paint. I love it. So the visuals that get to me, obviously, it does parallel the ending, because the progression of Luffy and then the Straw Hats as they go along. They didn't even waste time in spoiling Vegapunk's design. Like, that was one of the immediate things right off the gate. The best shot for me personally is the shot of Luffy with the goggles in Gear 5th. I thought that was epic as hell. You got the Straw Hats going all over the place, and it does give you a different adrenaline rush considering the theme of the arc. So it's matched by the opening. So I love that. The second best sequence of the opening is when we see Vivi and Bonney, and both their situations and the specific moments of the situations, how they get out. You got Vivi breaking out through the wall with the daylight, and it transitions into Bonney with the paw. So I thought that was very symbolic. I don't know if you want to take that as some type of meaning, but either way, I thought it was kind of cool, because when you look down to it, these are going to be two of the biggest characters throughout this entire arc in one form or another. Like for Vivi, obviously that's going to be found out through the revelry when we get to that, and obviously Bonney for obvious reasons. Speaking of Bonney, like this shot with the two people holding the flowers, is that kind of like hinting at a certain flashback we just got done covering? Because I don't know what else that could be referring to. But so if you know, let me know in the comments. I thought it was kind of interesting. The ending, like I said, parallels with the opening, where you get moments of the Straw Hats. Each of the Straw Hats, iconic moments throughout the series. So I love the visuals in the background, obviously with the sunset. So very symbolic, very simplistic, very effective, like I said. So we get into this episode, and whoever's decision it was to change the art style and animation, props, because I love this move. I love this move, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of people, this got a lot of people's heads scratching when the teaser first dropped. But I sat back and I waited because I knew what they would do. I knew what was up. It's interesting how when I talked about the recent episode 1088, when we got Boa Hancock being saved by Rayleigh, the direction, the episode that came before that, how the art style and animation looked, and I said it was kind of interesting to keep in that style with the attention to detail. And wouldn't you know it, the very next episode they decided to go in a different direction with the art and animation. I don't have a problem because, for one thing, the same thing happened when we got to Wano. They decided to change the art style, which made it stood out. And in my opinion, like I mentioned, the Wano anime is what brought in a lot of popularity for the series, if we're being honest. So I love this move because they're doing the same thing here. It's the final saga beginning with Egghead Island, so they needed to hit it big and they needed to have it stand out from Wano, and this is going to do it. And there's some pretty good stuff when you consider with the opening teasing what's to come in Egghead Island, and there's some pretty epic stuff. I love the move to change the art style and animation. Honestly, it didn't take me long to get accustomed to it. I'm pretty much used to it. We'll just have to see how it plays out when it comes to bigger moments. Dive into the beginning of the episode. I love how with the beginning of this episode they decided to recap Luffy's dream, but they decided to do it with the new current art style and animation. So I love that because they're highlighting the importance of Luffy's dream with the Straw Hats hearing it, but we don't get to hear it. We don't know what that dream is yet. But they're doing it with the new art style, so I appreciate that because it's kind of a big moment, and they're kind of highlighting that in this arc with this new art style. So they go over Luffy's dream. They got each of the Straw Hats. They talk about how getting the last world poneglyph is going to be difficult. No shit. But we'll get to that. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, when Oda decides to get to it. It transitions from there to Morgan's news as we go into the world building, and he's going over the 4 Yonko, the change. It's a new age, literally, with the new 4 Yonko being announced. You got the mention of Cross Guild and what them forming, what they're going to be doing. Then it goes over to what's happening with Sabo trying to get into contact with the Revolutionary Army back at Kamabaka Kingdom. The problem is you have the Marines, who are notorious for hijacking Dandamushi calls, but this is a distress signal, so the Marines are fully aware that this isn't going to last long, so they need to figure out where Sabo is calling from, and it doesn't take them long, and they figure out it's the Lucia Kingdom. Sucks for those people because they're looking to wipe out any traces of information that Sabo wants to get out to the Revolutionary Army. We go with the Gurase, and they're talking about Sabo and how they've been discovered, and it's like, oh, how unlucky, and they're like, no, this is fate. So you know where Sabo is, and meanwhile you got Ibu-sama in the flower chamber. But I love how they invert the colours as it's transitioning, as the camera transitions around Imu to build up tension for this humongous attack, the Mother Flame, to wipe out the Lucia Kingdom. So I love how it transitions from inverting the colours of the butterfly to it goes right into a close-up of Imu-sama's eye as the build-up continues for that Mother Flame attack. And I love how people took the visuals that was released before the episode dropped, and they made it seem like the attack was green. No, they flipped the script immediately. So I love that because it plays with your expectations. The other thing too, when it comes to the manga, it was kind of like one hit KO. It made it seem that it was just rays of blast being fine and the island disappeared. No, that's not what happened. So we see the clouds building, forming. Like I said, the tension is being built there. You got some people trying to rebuild houses, which is unfortunate. I guess because of Pinkbeard showing up, causing damage. Unfortunately, like the repairs are going to get shattered literally because the Mother Flame immediately bursts. It goes from green, and in a second, I love the shot how he goes into the red. To like, it's very symbolic. Number one, to like highlight the danger of the attack, and number two, because I like they chose that. So I like they made that move. The second is it's very symbolic considering what we know about the Gorosei right now. They unleash the attack, and boy, did it did damage. But it displays the destruction. Like, it's not just a one-hit KO and the island's done. No, it's just like it's a barrage of blasts coming from the sky, from the Mother Flame that wipes out the island. It forms into a nuke, and Lucia Kingdom, goodbye. And I love how the Gorosei is like, Lucia Kingdom never was to begin with. So there you go. So it was erased from the history books. And along with Sabo being on the Lucia Kingdom, and I love how it went from Luffy's dream to Sabo literally trying to get into contact with Dragon back at Common Kingdom. And I love how they build the tension to make it seem like Sabo had something to do with the assassination of Cobra, even though that's not the case at all. And you have Koala tearing up, you have the Revolutionary Army looking happy because obviously Sabo's alive and he's got back in touch with them. Boy, did that get cut short real quick, because not only did the kingdom get wiped off the face of the map, causing a sea quake, the Dendamushi immediately loses contact with Sabo, so that increases the tension. Also, Morgan's News was quick to mention how, while mentioning that Sabo quote-unquote assassinated King Cobra, he also mentioned how Vivi had been captured or had disappeared somewhere, so they built that tension up as well with what happened to Vivi. So it goes from that, and we got the Egghead Island eye catchers. Then it goes into the dynamic of the crew when they kind of deal with the terrain or the weather, which to me is a breath of fresh air, because we haven't seen that since Punk Hazard, before Punk Hazard, after Punk Hazard. It's been a while since we've seen the full crew dynamic dealing with, in canon format, dealing with the weather terrain. So we see the typical interactions. They all interact with the exception of Chopper and Robin. And by the way, shout out to Robin and with the new art style, love it. But I also love the fact that Robin doesn't care one bit to like help out, because she's just reading the newspaper and drinking coffee, while Chopper's like putting on the hat given to her by Otama back from Wano. So that trying to do something but doesn't really pan out. So it's the classic interactions of the Straw Hat, including Jinbei, which is a breath of fresh air, like I mentioned. Immediately it turns into a warm eddy because of the heat. Now back in the manga, I feel like it was caused by the weapon, the Mother Flame that was released by Imu, but that still wasn't clarified. But because the heat is rising in a huge worm eddy, I mean, that's no joke. And I love how they increase the tension. Like, we need to avoid that. Zoro's like, no, I got this. And they just build up the freaking tension with Zoro walking up like a badass with Zoro's first epic moment of the arc. I find it very ironic because in the very first episode of, technically the second episode of Wano, it was Zoro that launched the attack that really sparked up the hype interest when it comes to One Piece, when it comes to like the Wano anime. And here we have Zoro yet again in the center of hype, cutting the warm eddy in half. I love the shot of where the water slows on Zoro. I thought it was a very effective shot. But in the meantime, before he cuts the warm eddy in half, Luffy points out he can hear a girl screaming inside the warm eddy. And Sanji follows up by hearing it, and he says the same thing. There's a girl in the warm eddy Sanji's like, you better not hit her. So you got the two bickering, classic Zoro and Sanji banter. Zoro slices the warm eddy, and out pops little Bonney, who's like been spit out from. And by the way, knowing what we know, the fact that she survived is like with, and doesn't have a ship is like props to Bonney. Like that's not a joke. As considering how the weather looks to be in this episode, like it's crazy. The Bonney held on and survived. So Chopper, who goes outside and immediately gets blown into the air. Luffy tries to get him back, but obviously he gets pulled along with him, and that's where Luffy sees Bonney and decides to rescue Bonney, leaving into the first interaction between Luffy and Bonney in the series. So that's pretty cool. Bonney returns into the story after the last time we saw her at Revelry, and while being rescued, she motions down below because of what's underneath the Sunny, which is a huge sea creature which is about to eat the Sunny whole. Or so we think. So, that all you have to do is look at that shot, how effective it was to close the episode. So, like I said, we got the new opening, we got the new ending. The fact that we got them simultaneously instead of getting a new ending first and then followed by a new opening for like less than 10 episodes. I think this hit the mark because obviously we're getting both at the same time to introduce us to the first episode in the Egghead Island arc. A very effective episode. Was it the best? No. The best is yet to come. But this was a great first start with the new direction and a new art style, while paying homage to, like I said, the 25th anniversary of the One Piece anime is this year, so they're not wasting any time. Oh, and obviously the nostalgia of the opening and ending, this episode works. It was a very effective episode. Let me know what you guys think down below. That's going to do it for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like the review if you did, a thumbs up. I appreciate all you guys' support. Subscribe channel for more One Piece. Catch you guys later. Thanks guys. Bye.